Thank you for tuning in to the Oak Gardens Church. We hope and pray that God is blessing you real good. We hope and pray that something will be said in this message that will bless your life for the better so that you can see the Lord more and more each day.
Listen to me. That some of us have the ability, and I'm guilty of it too. I can see arrogance and pride in other folks. I just have trouble seeing it in myself. I'm too tired to walk around, y'all. I can see you being arrogant, but I never see me being arrogant because I've learned how to mask mine. I've learned how to fix mine up. I learned how to clean mine up. But what happens to us with pride is pride aborts your ability to actually see what God is trying to do through you and for you that you can't do for yourself. So let's look at it. First of all, pride aborts or starves your opportunity to admit, to apologize, or to even acknowledge. Y'all catch that? It's a good time to pull out your phones right there. That sometimes when you have pride, that you have to learn how to admit, yeah, sometimes it's me. You have to be able to apologize, even if it's not your fault. Y'all see how quiet it is? It was this quiet last night at the bridge service, and it was this quiet at 8 o'clock service. Because nobody, how in the world, what does Jesus say? Jesus says that if somebody has an ought with you, you ought to go to them first because you don't want anything to block that pure relationship with God. And then it says that you ought to pride also hurts you from your ability to acknowledge. I have become a much better Christian since I have a child. Yeah, I was jacked up before he came. Now I'm just jacked. Got this 10-year-old fella that I love with all of my heart. Now I understand to a small degree what John 3:16 means, because there's a big difference in being loved and being responsible for what you love. So when God gave up Jesus, man, I can only tell by a small bit how he must have felt to give up his only begotten son. I mean, just a little bit. But I'm learning through him because we have trouble. I have trouble with math. He's pretty good with it. But I do my best to leave the office around 3 o'clock, go pick him up because he's in the 5th grade now. That work is crazy, y'all. And that's the reason I went to seminary. There's not that much math in seminary. Okay, so the other day we were doing decimal places. So I was pretty cool, teachers, when you dealt with the decimals, the tens, hundreds, thousands. Y'all see how slow I'm going with it? 100,000. I was really cool. But then they mixed it up because they did a decimal point. And the decimal point to the other side was tenths, hundreds, thousands. Some of y'all on that slow program too. Come on, somebody. Y'all stop trying to act like y'all graduated in 3.5 years. Some of y'all were rolling with me. That 6, 7, 8 year plan. Okay. So I was fussing with him, Deacon. I said, no, man, it's tens, and I had them backwards. I said, when you look at the decimal, you got to go tens, hundreds. He said, no, Daddy, no, I'm telling you, the teacher just told me, and we fussing back and forth, moving paper back and forth. I'm standing up. I'm going, I tell you, it's the 10th place. Isn't it the 10th place? Isn't it? So he quietly went to his bag and got out the teacher's notes. He was right. And this is how he said it to me. He said, Daddy, you talk about it all the time. Don't let that pride get you. Now I said some other words to him. Now I will not share with you on this sacred day. But as fun as that is, that's how some of us live our lives. Somebody's trying to tell you something that can help you. But you got too much of you to hear somebody that's trying to tell you how to be a better you. And we fill up churches every Sunday just to get our 4-song fix, our prayer, our bread, our cup, and for half of us, our offering. We leave here not changed because we are too prideful to say, that word was for me. Don't miss it. Because here's the struggle with all of us. That pride will make you so full of yourself that you leave no room for anybody else. Pride will make you so full of yourself that it aborts your ability to make room for anybody else. Psalms, the 10th division of Psalms, verse number 4, David writes what pride will get to you. This is post-Bathsheba. This is post-concept of Bathsheba. He says, the wicked are too proud to seek God. They seem to think that God is dead. Catch this. Catch this. That when you are so proud of yourself, you don't even take out the time to seek after God. Now catch this. What are you saying, David? Well, David is actually saying that you can be so proud of where you are in life that you think you got there on your own and you did it without any of God's intervention. Let me help you with something. Is there anything you own that you got for yourself? I mean, when you go home, look at your apartment, look at your duplex, look at your house, and turn around and say to yourself, did I do this on my own? When you go to work Monday, you ought to say to yourself, how did I get this job? Had it not been for God on my side, I know you show up early. I know you stay late. I know you went and got your education. But let me ask you a question. If your brain didn't work right with your medulla oblongata and your cerebellum didn't work right with your mind, how in the world would you even be able to think had God shut off the oxygen from your nostrils to your brain? Is there anything you are able to do without God? So you have to ask yourself the question, if I can't do anything without God, what do I have to be proud of? Okay, yeah, you're educated. So, yeah, you live on that street. So, okay, yeah, you work at that job. So, okay, yeah, your family is set up like they say set it up in the book. So if God turned his back on us for a half of a second, your whole world, my whole world could crumble down because pride goes before destruction. And I hate to be the one to tell you, that's why America is in the jacked up position. We have been arrogant for a nation for so long, and now we're getting what we promote. And we might be living during the generation where we're not number one. We're not that far from being a third world country. Because it's amazing that all the nations, stop watching BET all the time, watching MTV top videos, watch CNN every now and then. Have you noticed that all the nations are starting to meet without us? Because they don't know what's going to happen in November. They say, y'all don't have any choices. Pray with me for a while. So now they are meeting without us, and if all of them get together, they can shut us down. Even Rome fell. You know, the men of Rome used to walk through and say, this will last forever. And they omitted God from their relationship, and God shut them down in AD 70 almost in 2 days. So what are you saying? That just like God can turn his back on the nation, if you are too prideful to see where you are in life, and you're so full of yourself that you make no room for God, Why do you expect God to keep showing up in your life? Okay, this is where I want to spend some time. Years ago, when I used to wear suits to church, when I used to preach in suits, thanks be to God, we've moved from that. Only time y'all see me in a suit is when y'all know I got to leave here and go preach at another church that would choke on me wearing blue jeans, you know. I'll throw on a 3-piece suit, you know, and have it all the way up to here and cufflinks and God is blessed. You know, I go through all that. But I used to buy suits, and one day we were at K&G, my wife and I, K&G, and that's when you could buy a suit, socks, shirt, tie, and if you're really cool, a top hat that would coincide with, come on somebody, y'all, I see some K&G in the house, don't y'all? Don't y'all play with me, you know, that $9.99 shirt that you only can wash twice. Had all that going, and the guy said, listen, if you start buying blank number regular suits and start wearing blank number long suits, it'll make you look thinner. I said, say what, Brother Taylor? He said, if you change the length, because the longer the suit, the narrower you look. And I love the concept. The problem with the concept was it was only hiding reality. All through your life, God tries to place people in your life that's trying to help you with the true you. But if you never can open up your ears and hear the repetitive voice of God, by different people, by different situations, by different scenarios, as God tries to speak to you, you will live this life never being changed to be better, because we have learned how to mute out what we know is true. Okay, that might have been a little difficult. Let me change it in another way. Your job tries to tell you you need to change. Your family tries to tell you you're arrogant, you're prideful, you don't know how to treat people right. Your best friend, who is not your friend anymore, has tried to tell you. And if you don't have any friends, it might mean, like the Bible says, no one can have a friend who is not friendly. You can't misuse people and expect people to like you. Sometimes our pride goes before us that will cause the destruction of us. So this is what David suggests in that text. David suggests in that text that sometimes in life you have to learn how to do something. Pride removes your ability to say what needs to be said, to hear what needs to be heard, and to give what needs to be given. Can I give that to y'all one more time? Pride will omit you from saying what needs to be said. That sometimes we are so prideful as people that we won't share to people where God has brought us from. You haven't always been at church on Sunday. But we want people to believe that we fell from heaven and we've always been right with God. And that's the major sin of the church, is that we fake in here and behind the liquor store out there. Okay, let me give it to you in another way. You can't be something in here and not try to live it. What are you saying, preacher? What's wrong with sharing your story? I had to share it with the 8 o'clock service. I had a bad morning. I had a bad night. Woke up at 3 o'clock. Nothing was wrong. Just had a bad attitude. Have you ever woken up on a just bad attitude? Walked in here, some things wasn't right. I went flap off. Come on, somebody. Y'all stop playing. The greeters walking through. Pastor tripping. Pastor tripping. I heard one of them. Sister Galloway, don't say nothing to them. No. You're acting a fool today. Y'all just, nobody came down to the office. I mean, I was just having a bad day. So I came in here. It just so happened, you know, preachers have bad days. It's just unfortunate when they happen on Sundays. And I eventually had to admit to myself, it ain't really anything wrong. It's just that I got something going on with me that I can't explain. And it takes pride to say, I'm not always right. But we come in here and we've learned how to fake it and front it for an hour and a half, and then we act like God is better than good. He's great. He's done everything for us, and then we can't even get in a car with somebody. I'm just trying to share. What's your story? What has God brought you from? How has God changed your life? And then you need to be able to hear what needs to be heard. You're not perfect. Thank you. I only had 3 of y'all. You're not so good that God is just waiting on you to close the door of heaven. You ever thought maybe he let you stay here? We always say, it must be somebody else that I need to help. God didn't take me out when I got sick. It must be somebody else that I need to help. No, maybe he let you stay here because he knew if he took you then, you were so jacked up you wouldn't be with him. Maybe he's trying to let you work through your craziness. But we don't want the 7th relationship, and all of them are crazy. The 10th job, and all of them don't have it right. The 100th situation, and it's never. Then we have to be able to give what needs to be given. That means that sometimes pride will teach you, or pride will keep you from releasing people that you keep holding on to. I'm going to talk about it in a minute because it's out of Philippians chapter 2, that there are some people you have to learn how to let go of so you can learn how to love them. That if you hold on to every hurt, you make no room in your heart for God. Isn't it amazing that you can remember who did you wrong, but you can't remember who you've done? Because we only categorize ourselves in they did me. And I tell you how God works. God tests you over and over again to see where you are with this thing you call faith. Let me tell you how he tests me, because I know y'all don't have these problems. I'm just sharing me. This is my therapy time. That I had a guy who stood up to me and almost fought me at a church office. I mean, I almost stood up. So what you want to do? No, I'm seriously, Christian. I know y'all think that's crazy. And just for that one time, the Lord arrested my tongue, and I couldn't say anything. I mean, literally, because I'm known for being able to talk. But for that moment, I couldn't say anything, church, and God just blessed me. About 6 months later, I saw him in Walmart. I walked right past him. He spoke, and I didn't. I gave him one of them brother looks. Come on. Everybody in here know what that means. If somebody look at you, you get ready. What you want to do? So, you know, I gave him one of those. Walked right past him. Lord said, you ain't ready. Yeah, Lord said, you ain't ready. You preaching about faith, but you ain't living it. About 2 years later, me and my family were sitting there eating, and at least I didn't give him that look that time. I spoke this time. He said, hey, good morning. Hey, Paul, how you doing? You know, then I at least said, what's up, man? And we finished our food real quick, everybody. Come on, somebody, right there at Cracker Barrel in DeSoto. We ate real. I'm going to tell you how God works. I was at the car wash about a year ago, and I was on the phone, not paying attention to where I was about to sit. And I sat down right next to him. And when I looked over there at him, I hung up my phone. And I said, what's going on, brother? And we sat there and had a 10-minute conversation. And I felt nothing after it. You missed it. That I wonder during that course of time, how many blessings did God block? Because he's saying, you too prideful just to say, forget it. So how am I going to bless you when you can't be a blessing? You know, Philippians chapter 2, verse number 5, is a very important text in the Bible. Because Paul says that I want you to learn how to have the right attitude. He says, and stop matching your attitude up, comparing it to other people. Compare your attitude to Christ. Okay, so what we do in Christianity is we compare ourselves to people who we've already done better than. So what we say is, I'm a Christian, I'm doing better than Jeffrey Dahmer. Do y'all remember, am I out of touch? Is this the wrong service? Okay, I'm at least doing better than bin Laden. So we compare ourselves to the worst that we can find, so it omits our responsibility to do better. Paul says, stop comparing yourself to others, learn how to compare yourself to Christ. Because if you compare yourself to Christ, you will always have work to do. So what Paul says, this is a trip. Paul says you must first of all have the same attitude that Christ had. That's very important because he doesn't just tell you something. He doesn't give you policies without how we going to get to it. He doesn't say that everybody's going to have jobs, but don't tell you how we're going to get jobs. So Paul says you must have first you need to have the same attitude that Christ has. Paul, what type of attitude did Christ have? He says, though he was God. Don't forget that Jesus Christ was human, but he was fully divine. He was full divinity. That he was God wrapped in human body. So I want you to grab this picture. He is God in heaven, and he thought it not robbery. I wonder what the conversation looked like when God told Jesus, I want you to go down to earth. Have you ever thought about it? Could you imagine God saying, Jesus, listen, there's some people down there that have messed up everything, and I want you to go die for them. I wonder, did Jesus say, you want me to leave all this? Okay, God, how do you want me to go down there? You want me to just show up one day, die, save their life, and then come back? No, I want you to come down as a little baby, wrapped in human clothes. I want you to have the same struggles they have. I want you to have the same issues they have. In fact, I don't want you to just be a baby. I want you to come as a slave. It's right there in the text. So imagine what Jesus had to take off, the pride he had to take off to be, knowing he is God, that the Bible says he didn't think that that was something he should hold on to. That God, being God all by himself, he said instead he gave us his divine privileges. He gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born as a human being. When he appeared in human form. Isn't it crazy that Jesus knew his mama before his mama was born? He humbled himself. That's the word pride. He gave up pride in obedience to God. And then he died. And Paul wants you to feel this death. He just didn't die, but he died as a criminal. He just didn't die. Now, this is God. He just didn't die as a criminal. He died a criminal on the cross. Jesus Christ gave up his pride for you and I all the way to Golgotha's hill. And his pride cost him his life. He's asking for you to give up your pride and just simply say, I'm sorry. Okay, you missed it. If anybody had the right to be proud of something, shouldn't it have been Jesus? Never sinned, okay, we forget who Jesus is. I mean, wouldn't you be proud if you could walk on water? I mean, wouldn't you kind of have some pride if one day you were asleep down in the ship and the ship is rocking all night long and they doing everything they can and you wake up with matter in your eye, with sleep coming down you, and you wake up and look at the winds and the waves and say, y'all cut that out? And they look at him and say, what's going on with this dude that even the winds and the waves obey his voice? I mean, wouldn't you have pride if you could go down to Catfish Floors, get 2 fish, 5 pieces of bread, and feed 5,000? Wouldn't you have a little pride if you could stand out of an optometrist's office and say, y'all don't have to go in there, let me just spit in the dirt and I'll get a little mud and put it over your eye? Wouldn't you have a little pride if you met a dude that has been sitting by the pool of Bethesda for 38 years and you say, you don't even have to get in the water, I can help you even before the water is trouble. Pick up your mat and get to step and walk this. Come on, Run DMC, walk this way. I'm telling you, walk this. Is that enough? If anybody had the right to have pride, wouldn't it be Jesus? This girl had an issue of blood for 12 years. He didn't even have to see her nor talk to her. She just said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I know I'll be made whole. And the Bible says he gave up all that for you and I. And some of us won't even give out an apology. And some of us need to go back to the cemetery and let some people go. Some of us live with some folks that you need to say, hey, man, it's over. I'm not going to keep bringing up what happened 10 years ago. We're going to move forward and we're going to let God, because what blessings is God holding up for you because you're too stubborn to say.
Hey, like I said at the beginning, we hope and pray you can come and be with us at one of our weekend services. We have on our Sunday services, we have an 8 a.m. service and a 10 a.m. service here at the church. All ages are provided classes and the adults are in the sanctuary to worship Jesus in spirit and in truth. If you can't make it on a Sunday, why don't you try out our Saturday night bridge service? Our bridge service starts at 5:30 p.m. and it will bless your life. We hope and pray that today will be your best day because God has given you this day. May God bless you and keep you is our daily prayer.